So here the agenda would be to introduce you to data analytics, and then there are a few practical use cases where we can implement. So we'll talk on a high level about that, and then what tools are used across industry and what we have to offer to you in the course is what we'll be discussing next, and what are those uh, points or USPs which is very important to ensure that you stand apart as a data analyst. So how we can build impactful graphs, what are those uh, tricks by which we can build impactful graphs, we'll talk about that. Okay, just let me tweak the setting of GoTo a little so that when somebody arrives, I do not get a beep sound. Just give me one moment. Uh, yeah, all right. All of you are unmuted. If you just keep yourself muted from your side, and whenever you need to ask a question, please unmute it and you can ask. Okay. So, this is the agenda for today. And before we get started on the agenda, just to talk a little bit about myself. So, I'm Santosh. I have 18 years of IT experience, implemented a lot of projects related to data. I have been a predominantly data guy right from the beginning of my career. And of late, as projects and businesses are moving towards cloud, so I have transitioned myself, and I'm currently implementing projects on cloud. So if you say data analytics, I have and I also believe in continuous learning. So if you can see, there are a lot of more than 15 certifications on niche technologies which I have done in the last few years. And the area of interest for us would be the AWS Certified Data Analytics Specialty Certification. So these all are the certifications which are the advanced level certifications offered by different cloud vendors. So I have completed all those successfully. I also have a degree on strategic management from Copenhagen Business School, and there's a lot of talk around sustainability, right? How we can be net zero, how we can ensure that the projects which we implement do not emit a lot of carbon, right? So to cater to different sustainability needs, I also have a diploma in strategies for sustainability from Stanford University. So I can help businesses to implement projects where we also look at the nature to ensure the projects we implement, the servers which we run emit less of carbon. So I can also add those in knowledge in the course which I'll be taking. So yeah, and these are different topics which I am expert on. I have worked on these topics, and these are the multiple certifications because I believe, as you all do, because you are here for this demo. So I do believe in continuous learning, and this is where learning needs to be sufficed by some proof, right? That okay, yes, you have learned something. So these are the proofs of different certifications which I have done over the past few years. Okay. So this is about myself. I have been with H2K for more than 12 years now. I have started with them in 2012, and now it's 25, so it's more than 13 years I have been with them, training on different technologies related to ETL, related to database, related to data analytics, AWS, DevOps. I've done a lot of trainings with them over the past 13 years. Okay. So yeah, trust me, you're on safe hands when we talk about data analytics course. So yes, going to the course. Now, what is a data analytics, right? Okay. So as a data analytics professional, so before I proceed further, any questions? Any questions? Is the speed okay? You want me to slow down? You want me to go a little faster? Anything on that side before we get started? Any pre-comments rather? Okay, taking the silence as no, then let me proceed further. Yeah. So data analytics, right? So what we essentially do in data analytics, right? So data analytics is all about crunching numbers. Okay, the end product of any data analytics project is to give insights to business. That you have numbers, you have data around you. You need to take those numbers and build story around that and give it to your business users. For example, okay, I'll show you what a data analyst does. So let me show. There's something called as a uh, Jupyter notebook. Okay, so we'll be doing this a lot on Python when we start off. So if you see, there is a notebook I'm opening, which is a Jupyter notebook, and this is where you can do a lot of data analytics steps. So let it open. Okay, so you see there are some Python codes we have written on, and using different libraries and all, we'll be generating these kind of graphs, for example. Okay, now what a data analyst is supposed to do. Like you have generated these graphs, all right, that you have taken some data sets and you were supposed to segregate your student base. That okay, how many students have enrolled in how many courses, or what is the population, or what is the split between different courses, right? So you have done these coding, etc. You have written your graphs, you have given the color coding, everything you've done on the code, and eventually you generate this, right? Now we cannot just give it as an image to the business users, right? So step one, what a data analyst does is that you create this graph using different techniques which I'll be teaching. And then the next step would be that you take this graph, build up a story around it, and present to your business users, right? That's what is the job of a data analyst, to first get to this graph and then tell the story around it. You can tell that, okay, in our school, uh, students are predominantly enrolling for computer science and engineering. We'll have to see how we can boost our students' enrollment across foreign languages, right? And then we can also talk about that the demand remains pretty constant across humanities and physics, um, hovering around 10% each. So we'll see how we can bring that to the next level. The biology, physics, and humanities are at the same level for almost for quite some time. So business decisions needs to be taken to improve upon that. So somewhat like uh, how do you tell your story along with the data is what at a high level is the role of a data analyst. Okay, so this is an example which I wanted to give to tell you this is the end product which you deliver along with your insights. Okay, now so talking about the theory around it. So data analytics is, if I can say in a couple of words, it is a science. Okay, it is a science of analyzing raw data, okay, to make conclusion about information. So you have data everywhere, right? You have data whenever you make a transaction, you visit a retail store, you make some transactions, right? Those transactional information is stored in database, right? So how we take that data, okay, and analyze that raw data the way I have done it here. Okay, if you see here, I have taken some raw data, for example, this data, okay, and then there are some analysis done here, right? And eventually the pie chart is shown. So this is what it means here, that how we take the data sets. So data analytics involves systematic examination of data sets to derive meaningful insights and conclusions, right? You take your data sets and you derive meaningful insights out of it so that businesses can take informed decisions, they can identify trends and patterns across their business, and finally it will help them in improving their overall business and the business processes, right? That's what is the end product. So data analytics plays a vital role in decision making process, right? And we help or we enable organizations to achieve that. right? So that they can enhance their efficiency, they can enhance their effectiveness by making improved decisions, right? And we as data analytics professionals help businesses do that. Okay, now, so these are few steps which we follow in data analysis. The first thing, obviously, is data collection, right? So data collection is the first step, which means, let's say you have data in some table, you have data somewhere in some Facebook logs, you have data lying somewhere in your X logs. So we take up all the data whichever are relevant to answer questions which businesses ask, right? So we collect all the data, and that is the first step of data analytics. Data analytics obviously is all about data. So the first step there should be to collect data, right? So it involves gathering relevant information, okay, from various sources to form a data set. That's the first step. The second step is clean the data, right? There might be instances where you do not have proper data at your disposal, right? You might have scenarios where you have language mentioned, but there are no enrollments mentioned, or no students mentioned, right? There can be scenarios that of that sort. So what do we do in those scenarios? Do we delete those records completely? Do we uh, fill it with some default characters? So the point is, whenever we get data from source system, the data will not be clean. Data will not be completely pure. Okay, so there are some strategies, there are some techniques in place, which we'll discuss in the regular sessions, which help us to remove these inaccuracies. Okay, you can remove duplicates, you can remove irrelevant informations, and you can uh, ensure that the data set is clean. Another example could be like, let's say in the source, the data which we are collecting here, right, in the first step, it has a date of birth column. All right. There's a value or a column called as date of birth. Date of birth. Now, business told that in our target tables, we don't need date of birth. For your analysis, what you need is a age column. Okay, so what will happen? You need to put some formula in the data set so that when the data moves from the source to your target from where the data analysis will start, the age column shows up. Okay, so this is also one type of cleaning the data according to business requirement. If date of birth was irrelevant for our business, we can just put it as age because that can help them in doing some direct marketing, that can help them to do some age specific marketing, right? So of late we have heard about terminologies like direct marketing, right? Or doing a customer segmentation. So in these scenarios, what businesses do is that you they promote products differently to different age group. If a product is promoted to an age group of 20 to 30, the similar set of products might not be relevant for the age group of 50 to 60, right? So that customer segmentation is done first, and then they do their business uh, processes or business rules, right? So that's where data cleansing is another aspect, and the third one would be data analysis. And this is where, just a moment, right? And data analysis is where we come into picture. Okay, so we'll be applying different techniques like statistical techniques and computational techniques to examine the data and uncover patterns and trends. Right, a data just lying in a database might not make sense. For example, you have, let me open another tool which we'll be using in our sessions. There's a database which I'm just launching. So uh, a database or a table will just have data, right? Now, how to uncover patterns or trends in that is what data analyst is supposed to do by using different statistical and computational techniques, right? Now, by using statistical techniques and all, you have done all these. Okay, so this is where you have used your statistical and whatever technical skills you have used there. and you have got this part, right? After this, if you see in the slide, the final step is interpretation. And this is also an equally important step wherein you interpret the data results. Okay, you tell story to your business that, okay, this is what your data says. Now, if you have a data, okay, let's say I have a database. Okay, now I have a table, right? Now, select start from, let's say I have a custom. Okay, so I have data something like that. Okay, customer ID, first name, last name, all these things are present. Now, this data doesn't make sense to the business simply, right? If they just have an access to this data, they cannot derive any meaningful information out of it because they don't know what are the techniques which are required to be done internally to answer that question. Now, for example, let's say they asked a question that, okay, tell me that in the customer table, which is that country who has the highest number of customers, right? So in that case, what the data analyst ends up doing is that, okay, if the question is, uh, if, if your business manager asks that, okay, give me the country which has highest customer base, right? Now, answering this question makes sense, right? Because this data set, if you just give it to the business users, doesn't make. They don't know what to be done, right? Though if you see there is a column called country, okay, there is something called as a customer ID from where I can get the customer count. But business doesn't know that how to get this answer, right? And this is where, as a data analyst, we'll come in and we'll give them the answer that, okay, if you need to find the country-wise customer base, so you write a query, SQL query, like select country, then count of customer. So anyway, when we'll start off, we'll discuss about these, what is count, etc., and all in details. I'll not be talking about what are these. I'll just write the query. So you, for each country, you find the number of customers. Okay. Now you do a group by country. Why do we do a group by? Why we use count? All these are discussing. Okay. Now, okay, order by, okay, count of customer ID as number of customers. Okay. Okay. Order by, all right. Now, right. Now this makes sense that, okay, you had this data set, customer, which has huge records. Now business asked a question that, okay, give me the country which has the highest customer base. You have written some query, you have written some technical code, okay, and you arrived at the answer that, okay, country US has the highest number of customers and the total number of customers is 13, right? So this is what you are expected to give it to your business users, that you have data and you need to derive meaningful information out of it and give it to the business user. That's what the data analyst does. So there are different techniques to do it. One is via SQLs. There's another via like Python. There's another by Power BI. So we'll be doing that. Okay. So data collection, data cleansing, data analysis, and eventually interpretation. How do you interpret it? How do you convey the result sets which you have got? How do you convey to the business users? That's the second step. Okay. Now, so there are different ways to do data analytics. One is the descriptive, so the one which I just did, okay, that find out how many customers are there in a particular country. Okay, now that is a descriptive, or you can say diagnostic data analytics. Okay, now there's another one called as predictive. Now I had this data that okay, in US you have a total number of customers 13, but this is what is already present in my database, right? That these all customer related information is already present in my data set, right? Now, if I'm just writing some code to get the data which is already available in my database, it is called as descriptive reporting. Okay, so getting this one, the country with the highest customer, that's descriptive reporting. Now, if I'm asked that, okay, tell me who are those customers, okay, in US. So let's say currently I have 13 customers, okay, and I'm asked a question that, okay, question two here, that, okay, tell me which customers in step one, which is this one. Okay, you have the step one, all right, and this is step two. So step one, you find out the country and the customers, the highest customer base, and in step two, because it is the higher customer region with the highest customer base, business will have more focus on this, right? So the next question which they can ask us is, tell me which customers in step one can okay can potentially, like probably not sure, but might move to our competitors. Okay, so in next 3 to 6 months, if business asks me this question, right, this is where I'll be predicting what can happen in the next 6 months. There are different levers, there are different uh, data which I'll be looking at, that okay, the customer uh, buying pattern, customer, is there a decline in customer buying pattern? All there are different parameters which we'll be discussing in a regular session. But the point here is, if business asks us the second question, okay, tell me which customers in step one can potentially move to our competitor in the next 3 to 6 months, because right, in the present modern day world, as a consumer, I have a lot of options, right? If uh, provider X is not giving me good service, I have options to go to provider Y, right? Uh, with a click of my, like with a swipe on my mobile, right? So options are huge for customers, right? So that's where businesses want to ensure that they give them the highest level of customer experience, so that businesses do like so that customers do not move from them to their competitors, right? And that's where every now and then they ask us this report that okay, tell me those potential customers who might leave me and go to my competitors. Now, if we give them these numbers, it helps them to plan their retention strategies accordingly. Okay, that how we can keep these customers tied to our program. They'll tie them to some loyalty programs and cashbacks, etc., to so that customers will find difficult to lose, to leave them. They'll take care of their concerns. They will mark them as preferred customers, priority customers, etc., to ensure that they are engaged. Okay, and who help them to do these direct like customer service, specific customer service? It is we. We'll be providing them that okay, in US you have 13 customers, as you can see in the database. Now, if we can see that okay, out of these 13 customers, what our algorithm states, what our business rule states is that out of these 13 customers, these are the three customers which might leave you and go to your competitor in the next 3 months. Now, if we give them these three customers, then they can plan their retention strategies only for those three customers, right? So this is called as predictive analytics. When you are predicting future, what can happen in the next few months in the future, that's what is called predictive. Okay, and then there is prescriptive, where you recommend that okay, uh, these are your data points, how we can improve upon solutions. So we'll be talking about these different things, but two key ones are descriptive and predictive. Descriptive is when you have your data at your disposal and you just keep on like uh, giving different numbers based upon the questions which businesses ask. And predictive is where you predict future, what can happen 6 months down the line, right? So these are different type of um, analytics we have. Like we can like yeah, okay. So that's about the different type of analytics. We'll be talking about them in detail when we start off. And then there are a lot of practical use cases across all the domains across industries. Different industries use data analytics. So one could be the healthcare, like when you look at the past, like you can predict the patient outcomes by analyzing historical patient data. So if you have a similar set of symptoms, similar set of like diagnosis, then the different patients' past historical data can help us in identity, like quickly diagnosing the current patient's treatment. Of course, like this is always debatable that how we can use data and AI in healthcare, but we do use it for the initial level of screening and for initial level of diagnosis and all. So yes, it is healthcare where you can use a lot of data analytics. So and to ensure that you like we can give timely interventions and improve patient care to business. Another one could be retail, and that's what I was talking about. Retail is where you use a lot of data analytics and predictive analytics. Okay, so the customer segmentation strategies, right? I was talking about the age grouping. So in most of the retail projects which we develop, business will ask us that they'll do segmentation. Okay, they want age. As I was talking about that example of data birth, businesses need age because they can do that customer segmentation then accordingly, right? So, so retailers like basically utilizes data analytics for customer segmentation, right? To ensure that they do not give irrelevant product promotions to a particular set of customers, right? If it's irrelevant, uh, you will not look in the future. Let's say if you Walmart gives you some irrelevant promotions, right? If that happens continuously for 3 4 5 times, now if the sixth time they send you a relevant promotion, still you will not see because you'll have that preconceived notion, right? That okay, Walmart keeps on sending me irrelevant content, right? So that's where it's very important that from the scratch we have our customer segments properly defined, okay, enabling trust, and it can like it is basically to ensure that we tailor our marketing efforts, we customize our marketing efforts to different groups so that we can give them an enhanced customer engagement experience through personalized recommendation, right? That is another use case where data analytics is extensively used in retail industry. And then finance is also very important domain where data analytics is used a lot. Okay, so your bank is going to sanction loan for you, right? So they run these models or the fraud detection techniques in the backend to see that okay, they do not incur they're not getting into a risky zone, right? So if you see, data analytics play a very critical role when it comes to finance, particularly in fraud detection, because by analyzing patterns, right, by analyzing transactional patterns, financial institutions can identify and avoid or mitigate potential fraud risk effectively. If you study transactional patterns and if you see a lot of outliers there, right, then you can recommend that okay, these are the customers which might potentially default on the loan which we sanction them, right? So in that case, they will not sanction the loans, correct? And this can help them identify the potential fraud and mitigate those effectively. So finance is another use case where we use a lot of fraud detection and risk management leveraging data analytics. Okay, so these are just few use cases to see. But when we start off, we'll implement it across multiple use cases. Like we can take use cases around Netflix, around Google search engines, and we see how do they do data analytics, how we can learn from those use cases to improve upon our data analytics skills and all. That also will be the part of the course. Okay, and going to what tools we'll be using. So across industry, we use a lot of SQL. Okay, as you have seen, I had just shown right on this how to get the customer with the like country with the highest number of customers. So we leverage a lot of SQL because the data will be residing in tables. We use a lot of Python as well. Okay, Python is basically used when we need to like for as you have seen here. Where is it? Yeah. So when we need to do a lot of statistical operations, if you see here that I need to visualize a mean. Okay, mean is just the average. Okay, median, like the middle value of any data set. Okay, standard deviation. So Python has very beautiful and inbuilt and easy to use libraries which they have provided that which helps you that okay, you do not need to write down formulas to calculate mean. Okay, if you see here, you have a data set. Okay, just let's say I've taken a data set 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Okay, and you are told to calculate mean. So, as a statistical or a mathematical student, what you end up doing is you will do a 10 plus 20 plus 30 plus 40 plus 50 divided by 5. Okay, that way you will try to arrive at the mean. But Python has very powerful set of libraries. Like if you see here, there's a NumPy, there's a Matplotlib. Okay, these are the libraries which take complexity away from the programmers. Okay, or in our case, from the data analytics, they have done all these calculations themselves. You see this NumPy. NumPy is a library which has done or which has built the algorithm at the backend itself. That okay, mean will be done by calculating the number of, by summing of the values and dividing it by the number of values. Okay, that has already been done. Or what we need to do as a programmer is that okay, you write the statement that mean equals to np. Np means that you're taking numpy, and you just use a function mean. Okay, mean equals to np dot mean of data. So it calculates you the mean. You see here, it calculates you the mean, that mean is 30. Now, same thing, you can arrive it here, that if you do 10 plus 20, 30, 30 plus 30, 60, 60 plus 40, 100, and then 150, right? 150 divided by 5, it gives you 30, right? So this has been done simply by just calling this function, mean, right? Similarly, you have median, which has a slightly complex formula than mean, and then you have standard deviation, which is also a little complex formula than median, but you do not need to worry about the formulas. You just need to understand that there are some concepts and what is median, right? What is standard deviation? You need to understand that, and Python will help you to calculate those values. And that's where across industry we use a lot of Python because of the simplicity which it provides, right? There's also a concept called as data frames, okay, which we'll be discussing in detail. Data, see, if you have data in a form of list, it is difficult to analyze. If you have data in the form of rows and columns, it is easier to visualize as well as analyze, right? So there's a concept called as data frames in Python. So we'll be leveraging a lot of data frames to understand the data set, right? So Python, okay, and SQL will be our like commonly used tool for collecting data, for pre-processing data. Pre-processing means that, for example, if you see in this DB okay, let me show you. Yeah, if I just do a select star from customer, okay, you see you have these customers and they do not have any like you have these companies assigned to each customer. Okay, you see there are null values here. Null is something which is called unknown, okay, which is not defined. All right, now there are customers who are not tagged to any company. Now, is that normal? Okay, this is a question which we'll be asking to our other stakeholders. What are the stakeholders available in a data analyst project? We'll talk about it later. Okay, so the point here is you have few customers for whom company is not defined. It is mentioned as null. So how do we take these data sets? Okay, do we remove them completely? Okay, from the data set, or do we um, replace these null with a default value that okay not applicable or not relevant or any other default value do we need to do that. So to impute, okay, to ensure that we, if there is some missing data and all, how do we impute or how do we take care of those missing data? That's what is also done using Python and also using SQL. Okay, so all these we'll be doing using Python and SQL. And then when it comes to visualization, okay, let me go back. So visualization of your data. So here is where you will be preparing your data sets and you will be getting the answers. And visualization can be done in two ways. Okay, one way is where you write your Python codes, you will get these graphs, you can put them in a PPT, you can write stories around these, and you can present to the business users. That is one way when you are dealing with complex statistical answers to be given to the business. Okay, another way is by using reporting tools. So we'll be using Power BI. Okay, Power BI is a uh, reporting tool. I'll help you get Power BI desktop installed. So if you've seen our course curriculum, we have something mentioned as, not sure if it has changed recently, tools and technologies. Okay, you have Tableau mentioned. Okay, we were imparting Tableau knowledge until, I can say, a year back or so. But of late, depending upon what client looks at, okay, we have tweaked our course. If you look into the course, though it is mentioned in Tableau, but when we start, we'll be leveraging another reporting tool, which is Power BI. Why so? Because when we have multiple interactions with our customers, okay, discussions with the customers, they are kind of not ready to pay an additional amount for their Tableau license. Because now Microsoft is offering, they're offering Microsoft 365 package wherein Power BI comes in the package. Okay, you do not need to pay additionally for Power BI separately. Okay, now if you go pitch for a project and you say that, okay, I'll be leveraging Tableau for your data analytics need, the immediate response which comes from business is that I do have a Microsoft 365 license, which gives me Power BI free of cost. Why you want me to pay additionally for Tableau, right? And which is a valid point. So that is where now whenever we give solutions to our customer, whenever we bid for a project as an organization for reporting, we tell them that let's use Power BI because it comes as a package and they'll save on that licensing cost when you use Power BI. Okay, so we'll be using a lot of Power BI, okay, to prepare reports. Let's see if I have some report here to prepare reports and to see how we can prepare robust reports, right? Okay, it has been moved somewhere, so anyway, so yeah, we'll be preparing reports using Power BI to see how. Just see if I can show you a report if I have it. Give me one moment, please. Um, Yeah, yeah, let me open this. There's a lot of materials which will be shared across to as in when we start. Okay, uh, we'll be sharing you the recording links. All those will be there. I'm just opening a report, trying to open it. Takes a little time. So, yeah, we'll be using SQL, Python, and then for data analysis and visualization, we'll be using Excel. Excel also you need to know because you need to understand and there are in which scenarios you need to use Excel and well, because you cannot, you might not need to go to um, Power BI for all your reporting, for all your analytics which you need to do, right? There are some simple explorations which you can do on Excel also, right? So we'll be talking about Excel and we'll also be learning Power BI. These two tools will be used, okay, for your data analysis and visualizations. So if it's open, still opening, yeah, I can show you how we'll be creating reports. And yeah, finally, finally Means a little stuff. Your Power BI consumes a little additional CPU resources. Just a moment. My screen is frozen now. Hope I'm audible, right? I don't know my go-to meeting is stuck. Audible? Okay. Yeah. So the next step is like how we can build impactful. So you'll be using these tools, and then how we can build impactful graph. Because when we tell our stories, okay, it is important that we set the right kind of graphs and right kind of visualization for your answers. If you are told that okay, you have 20 different groups, right? You have 20 different groups, and you are supposed to prepare some data, prepare some reports. So if you have 20 different groups, you could use pie chart the way I have it here. Okay, let's say where is my notebook, right? If you have 20 different groups to deal with, we cannot use a pie chart because you see, you'll have 20 different pies, which will be very difficult to read. Uh, bar graph or a histogram, okay, which will be more clear, right? So, as storytelling is one of the most important part of a data analyst job, that's where building impact graph is also an important aspect. So, this is where we'll be refining our storytelling skill set at the end, where we'll see how we can build impact and so on. All right. So, yeah, I'll be hesitant to make my screen slow. Yeah. So, we can put like what are the different best practices for creating graphs, like we can have sketch done. So all these how to beautify your technical skills required to present your graphs. Okay, once that is done, we'll talk about that. And finally, to conclude, so as a data analyst, you should be skilled in data, analyze the data, right, and to derive meaningful insight out of it and present those insights to your business users, right? Leveraging different tools like Python, SQL, Power BI, Excel, so that we can transform raw data to enable informed decision making by using tools which we just saw. Okay, so this is what is data analyst, and this is what we offer. Right. So if you can just look into the our portal, what we have, where you can see the course material, and we'll be starting off with the basics. We'll be talking about why do we need data analytics and all. And then we'll be moving towards like exploratory data analysis. How do we treat missing data, etc. and all. And yeah, okay. Give me one moment. And then once we have done with our different concepts around statistics, the next step would be to learn these tools. So we'll be learning SQL, Python for data analysis, and then Power BI, and also will become completely expert. And then again, some statistical concepts and how we can build like predictive models, how we can, uh, one second. Okay, yeah. So if you have like, this is what is slowing me down. Hope I'm there, right? Yeah. we'll learn to how we can create and then I have my right, the individual, then I can use that data to prepare a graph here. Okay, all right. So in the meantime, my screen is coming back. Any questions you have? So these are tools which we'll be using, and you can see the remaining course which is on the uh, website as well. Any questions you have? Because this is what I have to uh, course perspective, right? If you see here, so Model 1 is where we'll be learning about the concepts, because I'm not sure about the population. If people are experienced, if they know about like different things on data analysis, we'll be probably skipping few of the theoretical aspect. But if people are very new, so we'll be completely like not skipping, but we'll be going at a higher speed on the theoretical concept, because the way I keep my course is that it is more than 70% of hands-on, and we keep a minimal required thing which we need from a theory perspective. So depending upon the audience which I have, I'll be tailoring the course accordingly. So the first will be the introduction to data analytics, and then how we can collect data, prepare data, etc. So that is where we make sure that the data analytics which we'll be doing on a data set is robust. So that is the second step, how we handle missing data, as I have shown, right? If you have nulls, how do we handle inconsistent data? How do we do pre-processing, data cleansing? Those we'll be discussing in module 2. Then module 3 is all about the tools and technologies. Then how we can do predictive analytics, how we can do decision making using decision trees, regression, and using linear regression models. And we'll be having real-time projects along with them. Those mini projects, small projects, along with these all technologies we'll be talking about. Okay, so this is the course which we have for offer, and yeah, with my expertise, I can say that yes, data analytics is a very on-demand course which we can make ourselves skilled on, and it definitely has a lot of demand in the industry, because anything which we because as I told, right, there are a lot of businesses, there are a lot of data all around us. So, how to derive meaningful insights from that data? There are many businesses which are struggling to get that meaningful insights, and we as data analysts can come in and fill that void. Okay, across industry. Fine. So this is what I had for this intro from the demo session for data analytics course, and I'm open for any questions if you have before we close.
Hello.
Yep.
Hi. So I just joined in late, so I think there are a few questions in the chat window. Also,
Okay.
I was, how long is the duration for?
Yeah, the duration would be around 6 weeks. Okay, 5 to 6 weeks will be covering on the course. So when I say 6 weeks, it is like around 25 to 30 hours. So if we, for example, if there are a few people who are not available for a couple of days in a week, so we will compensate it. So it will be around 30 hours course.
So the whole data analytical course is done in 30 hours? Wow.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Whatever you see in this, which I have tailored according to my experience, will be done.
Okay. So, but how in depth do you need to know each technology, like Python, or do we go to dashboards, Excel, like advanced concepts, and like
When you
how?
say Python, right? Python has a lot of libraries, uh,
Hmm.
millions of libraries, like not millions, but yeah, it has a sufficient amount of libraries. What you need to know as a data analyst, you need to know pandas, you need to know NumPy, you need to know Matplotlib. Okay, so if you ask what depth we'll be going what is required for a data analyst. I'll not be talking about everything what we have in Python. Okay, I'll be just talking about pandas, NumPy, and Matplotlib, because that's what a data analyst is supposed to know. Now, if you talk
Hmm.
about SQLs, right, I'll not be going ahead and talking about procedures. I'll not be talking about stored procedures or like triggers, etc. All what will I be talking about, if you see in the course, how we can write queries if we need to search for different patterns, how we can join tables, how we can write aggregation, because that's what you need as a data analyst. So if you tell the level, I cannot maybe say that we'll go at maybe 100 feet or 200 feet, but I can say whatever is required for a data analyst will be covered. Okay, I'll not be talking about all the things about SQL, but what is required for a data analyst, definitely I'll be going to the complete depth to answer that. Even for Excel, we'll be talking about pivot. We'll be learning about how we do VLOOKUPs. We'll be talking about how we can do conditional formatting, different other concepts of Microsoft Excel. But if you say that whether we'll be learning a VBA scripting, no, we'll not be learning because we're not doing a macro development here. We are doing a data analysis. So, what are the features which you need from a data analysis perspective? Will be Similarly for Power BI. So what is required to create a report? What is required for you? How can we create a measure? How we can apply filters on a data set on a Power BI report? All those will be covered.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Now
How
I
many
saw
days will it be
it will be for
per
30
week?
years. 5 days, but again, there are batches which I'm taking where people, because they're working and all, they want to have it alternate days. We have it on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. There's another batch which I'm taking which they want 2 days. Okay, so it depends upon the complete preference of the batch, but the course is restricted to 25 to 30 hours, which I'll be taking. If it is not, let's say if I say 30 hours, right, it comes down to what, 6 weeks. But if we are taking 3 days of course, then accordingly it will go to 8 weeks or 10 weeks, whatever, right? So depending upon the complete schedule of my audience, we take it. But there's a batch which I'm taking, which is 5 days a week also, and there's one which I'm taking, which is 3 days a week also,
Okay.
currently. Okay, I see for data cleaning, can we use Power BI or Excel? Okay, depending upon your use cases. If you are using a data set which just has what 10 records, do you need to use a Power BI? No, you saw that how much resources it has consumed, right? It made my machine slow and all those things, which means it has taken, though I'm on a 8 GB RAM and it's a pretty new laptop, still it took me time. It means what? It has consumed resources. Now, let's say if you need to deal with a data set which are just 5 odd records, do you feel it makes sense to use a Power BI? Probably not, right? So it can be done on Excel. So depending upon your use case, the question was for data cleansing, can we use Power BI or Excel? So my answer would be depending upon your data volume, depending upon your use case, you can use either of the two. Okay, we cannot say that okay for data cleansing we'll be using only Power BI or Excel. Data cleansing is predominantly done prior to Power BI or Excel. Okay, when you are moving the data from your sources into your target tables from where analysis will start. So there is a team which is also called a data engineering team who are supposed to ensure that the data is somewhat clean. And if there is something which is left, then the data analyst can do that further cleaning. Okay, so data cleansing, to answer your question, depending upon your use case, can be done by Power BI or by Excel. Okay, after the course, do we get any live project experience? Yes. So live project experience, when we say there are many projects there which we will be doing along with the course. Okay, so you have talked on a particular topic, you have done hands-on examples around it, then we take up a mini project and let's say we do a EDA, okay, exploratory data analytics, where we need to take up a data set, let's say for some pandemic which has happened in the just after the World War II, right? There's a use case which we'll be talking. There are a lot of other use cases also. So we'll be doing some analytics around data sets which we have got just after the World War II. So how do we take that data set? How do we build reports? How we derive insights out of it? So those live projects will be there, which we'll be doing parallelly along with the topics which we'll cover. So yes, to answer your question, there will be many live projects which we'll be doing alongside the project in these 30 hours course. Okay, and then there's a
Hi.
question on how
So,
many weeks. I'll just take up the questions which are on the chat window. Then I'll take it. So how many weeks is the course? Yes, I've talked to that. I have told about that answer. And data analytics job will get for freshers, of course. Once you go through the course, you have like the ammunition, as I say, to work on data analyst project. Definitely, you will. That is the whole aim, right, of doing this course, to be job ready and eventually be project ready, right? So we'll be talking about that. Sorry, there was a question. You can please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. So my question was, you said like after each topic we'll have some real-time project kind of. But what I'm trying to see here is after the whole completion of the whole course, can we put together all the concepts we
Yeah,
learn
yeah.
and
Because see, if I give you a problem statement, right? Now, in that problem statement, which tool to use? Do we need? So when I say all these, okay, I mean to say uh, until so once we're done with module 1, 2, 3, okay, uh, and we are done with module 4, okay. This is where we are done with our descriptive analytics and majority part of the analytics part. Okay, so this is where we'll be working on couple of real-time projects. And if the question is, okay, do we do at the end? Yes, we do at the end, but also we'll do small in the middle also. Because if I talk on a particular topic, my point is, if I talk you about EDA, right, and if I do not give you some small assignments or small scenarios around it, how will you learn it practically, right? So that will be there. And overall, we take up a use case, as I told, right, that after the World War, we had some pandemic in some regions across Europe and all, and there are a few other use cases also. So those use cases we take up at the end. We learn out that, okay, if this is a use case, which particular tool to use in that particular scenario, and then how we can eventually do our data analysis and present the final output to the business. So those will be there once we are done with all the topics. What I wanted to say is that alongside that, we'll also have scenario-based learnings in the course as well. Like now, if I've done this model, so you'll have some mini projects or mini scenarios around this. When you are done with, let's say, sequels, you'll have many projects around that. So that will also be there. And eventually, when we are done with all the topics, then we'll also have one or two real projects which will take all the topics, and we'll see which will be more relevant and prepare the final output out of it. So that will also be there. So to keep it simple, to answer your question, will there be random projects? Yes, it will be there.
okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other
Um,
questions?
Sorry, like sorry to ask questions, but everybody, I don't think, I don't have any previous experience, so I don't know how um, it would be applicable in real time. Like everybody wants experience, and how easy or difficult
This
it
is
would
where
be.
we have a robust SDK team who have been because I predominantly the trainer, right? And my job here is to help you be job ready. Okay, so if you get some questions, and what are the questions which can come in the interview? Okay, and what are the questions like you need to so there are two things which is my aim, to make you job ready and also the project ready. Job ready is where you answer questions which are asked in interviews, and because I'm part of a recruitment panel for last 10 plus years, so I know what questions I need to ask or what questions industry asks to a data analyst profile. So I'll help you on that, number one. Number two, when you get into a project, it's a different ball game altogether when you need to be hands on. This is where we have these many projects and different tools which you'll be learning to make you project ready. So these are two goals. Why we are doing this? Obviously to get into a job, right? And this is where we have a robust like a team of educators, like a team who help us with these um, in contracts or in placements. They help us in the resume preparation and in also in how they can help in the job placement, and also that is something which the educator team definitely helps us on uh, getting that, right? But yes, if you say that if you're going with a as a fresher in the data analyst market, it is quite a and rather you, if I'll say, it is a very good time to go and get into this role as a fresher, because if you know the job, okay, if you know what a data analyst is supposed to do, then I'll be more keen to take up a fresher compared to a experienced guy, just for one reason, because of the cost. There's a lot of cost cutting happening across industry. Everybody is looking for uh, how we can prune their cost, how we can get less costly resource onboarded. So if I get somebody who is a fresher but who know how they can do data analysis, I'll go for that because of the current market scenario. So this is a very good time to get onboarded as a fresher, as long as you can answer those questions which are asked in your interview. Okay, so if you ask me, can I go into a job interview as a fresher? Is this course relevant to me as a fresher? Yes, it is. Do I need to have some experience or show some experience to get into it? That is something which S2 team certainly can help on.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? I'm here to answer question. You will see me having these sessions interactive when we get onboarded. Lot of questions I'll be asking. I'll ensure that the 1 hour which I'll take, you are also on your toes, and you keep me also on my toes the entire 1 hour. Okay. So yeah, this is how I've been conducting, and I've been surviving with HTTP for the last 13 years. Okay. Any other questions before we close? No. So just one final point. All these materials and recordings which we do, all these will be recorded and will be sent when we start off. People will be you'll my team would be sending across all these recordings to you. Okay, I see. DA's role is to do data cleaning in Excel, report in Power BI, and queries in SQL and Python pandas are required. Yes, yes, it is required. Yes, my name is Santosh. And yes, you need to know, depending upon the scenario, you might not need to write a Python code when you are dealing with a data set which are just 5 records, right? You might be required when you are supposed to just get the highest customer, the customer which has spent the, so to keep it short, right? Depending upon scenarios. So the question here is DA's role is to do data cleaning in Excel, report in Power BI, and queries in SQL and Python pandas and by all required. Yes, it is all required because you never know what kind of scenario you get into, right? But all will not be required for all the scenarios. But depending upon scenario, yes, all these are required. Okay, all right. Anything else? If the silence means a no, then thank you for joining.